Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you all. Thank you for joining us and welcome to this second session in the inaugural Travel Retail Sustainability Week event. This session is called Beautiful Future, Sustainability in Fragrance, Skincare and Cosmetics. And we have a fantastic speaker lineup for you and more on that in a few moments. I'm Michael Barrett, Head of Events and Corporate Social Responsibility at TR Business. And it's my pleasure to host this session alongside my colleague, Andrew Pentoll, Senior Editor at TR Business. I want to start by thanking all the session sponsors, Arianta International, Brown-Forman, Coty, Guerlain, and Mondelez International. I would also like to thank all the companies who have made this event possible. TR Business owners and managing directors Nigel Hardy and Janice Hook decided to make this event free of charge for all participants to help drive sustainability within the industry. So whether participating in these webinars or networking with any of the participants throughout this week, there are absolutely no costs to you. But this would not be possible without the support of all our event sponsors. So thank you very much to Altia, Arianta International, Beam Suntory, Brown-Forman, Coty, Dufry, Frass, Guerlain, Join the Pipe, Chris Shop, Lego, L'Occitane en Provence, L'Oréal Travel Retail, Molton Brown, Mondelez International, Moroccan Oil, Nestlé, Pure Essentiel, Ritter Sport, and Silent Pool Gin. Thanks to all of you for your support. We hope you enjoyed this morning's keynote session with Plastic Bank's David Katz and the first in our sustainability pitch sessions. Congratulations to all those who participated, to Altia and Lego for achieving the 4-star travel retail sustainability trailblazer status, and of course to Nestle and Silent Pool Gin for achieving the 5-star travel retail sustainability hero status. I'm sure you'll agree that all 4 pitches were extremely encouraging and inspiring. We trust you will enjoy the next few days. We have planned for you with a number of extremely informative sessions. I'm just trying to change the screen here. Before I hand over to my colleague Andrew, who will be introducing our Beautiful Future webinar and speakers, just a few housekeeping notes. Please do take advantage of all the networking opportunities throughout the week. You have a number of sustainability networking hubs on the event platform where you can discover more about the various sustainable investments from all these companies. You can also drop them a message on their hubs to request more information or schedule appointments with them to discuss the sustainable business opportunities that will come out of this event. You can also schedule appointments with each other through the attendees tab in the top menu via the schedule appointment button on the My Event page here on the platform. If you have any questions about any aspect of the event, queries, issues, connecting, please do not hesitate to get in touch with us via our own virtual hub, where my colleague Helen Chater will be able to answer all your questions. You just need to click on the Join Virtual Meeting button at any time between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. UK time, and you can chat with her there. Alternatively, you can leave us a message there also, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible, or send an email to info@travelretailsustainabilityweek.com. One second. Please do send us your questions for all our session speakers using the Q&A function, which is on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll do our best to put as many of your questions to them during today's session. And don't hesitate to leave any comments in the chat window. So without any further ado, I'll now hand over to my esteemed colleague, Andrew Pentoll, who will introduce this morning's keynote session, beauty session, and our panel of speakers. Over to you, Andrew.
Thanks, Michael, for the introduction. It's a pleasure to co-moderate this session entitled Beautiful Future, Sustainability in Fragrance, Skincare and Cosmetics. I'd like to extend my own personal welcome to all our viewers from around the world. I'd also like to take this opportunity, like Michael, to thank our session sponsors, ARI, Brown-Forman, Coty, Guerlain and Mondelez, and indeed all our partners, without whom this event would not be possible. The issue of sustainability is close to the hearts of everyone at TR Business. And from a personal and indeed editorial point of view, it gives me immense satisfaction to see the duty-free and travel retail industry acknowledging the importance of this issue on a much larger scale. From an editorial perspective, almost all interviews and discussions have some kind of sustainability angle these days. This is reflected by the recent addition of a dedicated sustainability section on the trbusiness.com website, which is going to be populated extensively over the coming weeks and months. Whether it's in the beauty category, which is the main focus of this session, confectionery segment, or simply among duty-free and travel retailers worldwide, sustainability is seemingly a key strategic objective and a high priority. We have a strong lineup of beauty category experts who will share their personal and company insights on sustainability and answer questions from myself, Michael, and most importantly, you, the audience. So we therefore encourage as much interactivity as possible. Nathalie Helouin-Kamel of the Fragrance Foundation France and Japanese fragrances producer Tagasago will present findings from a Fragrance Foundation of France study on perfume consumers. Jean-Charles Lomaire of L'Occitane will highlight the company's main sustainability commitments, which include protecting biodiversity principles and supporting its producers. He will also discuss the use of sustainable resources and sourcing of natural local ingredients with fair trade principles. Two of L'Occitane's suppliers are also represented on this panel and will provide some valuable inputs. Cécile Lochard of Gonon will also outline the key pillars of the brand's sustainability strategy and the challenges it has faced in reducing overall carbon footprint from the production cycle. Finally, we will hear from Luce Grossetete, Sustainability Consultant at Beauty of Change. Luce will discuss how startups and larger companies can advance their sustainability strategies through innovation and also touch on several other important elements. I would now like to invite each of the panelists to provide a brief introduction of themselves. So perhaps we can kick things off with Nathalie.
Okay. Good afternoon to all of you. So my name is Nathalie Helouin-Kamel. I'm here, as you mentioned, with the two hats. One is about being the vice president of the Fragrance Foundation for France, for the French division of this association. So I will share with you the barometer we have created 6 years ago in the Fragrance Foundation. And on the next to this very nice position, I also have a real job. That is to be the head of the fine fragrance division for Tagasago. But then my path is a little bit special because I first spent, like, let's say 30 years on the customer side, on the brand side, being a customer of the fragrance company. And then I switched to the supplying part 4 years ago. So I think that I can have this vision of the two parts of the business on the brand side and on the fragrance company side, and to be a witness of this sustainability awareness that is growing.
Thanks, Nathalie. We look forward to hearing your insights shortly. Perhaps I'd like to invite now Jean-Charles to give a brief introduction. Jean-Charles?
Yes, sorry, I was on mute. Hello everybody. So I'm Jean-Charles Lomaire. I'm the biodiversity and sustainable ingredients manager for the L'Occitane Group. So I work several years before directly with farmers in different organizations in Africa and in France. And today we work hand in hand with all our suppliers from farming system to develop sustainable ingredients in our products at L'Occitane.
Great, and also I'd like to invite Philippe and Magali to now give a brief introduction.
Hello everybody, so we are Philippe and Magali, farmer in Provence, and we grow aromatic plants since almost 20 years, more than 20 years, and we live in a well-preserved and very nice environment, and we produce verbena and geranium for L'Occitane.
Yeah, we work very close to Jean-Charles' team, and often see them will explain that speaking about sustainability.
Excellent. And I'd now like to invite Cécile to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, I am Cécile Lochard, Chief Sustainability Officer at Guerlain. I'm an ex-sustainable finance officer at HSBC and more recently and previously head of philanthropy and corporate partnership at WWF, the NGO, World Wildlife for Nature, the PANDA, before joining LVMH Group 5 years ago and then Guerlain 2 years ago. And it's really my pleasure to share with you today the commitment of the house, Guerlain House, a journey started years ago and that we are deeply committed to accelerate now.
Okay, and last but by no means least, I'd like to invite Luce to introduce herself.
Thank you, Andrew. Hello, everyone, and thank you to our business for inviting me this afternoon. I'm very happy to be here. I have two hats as well. One, which is travel retail, as I worked for almost 15 years at export and travel retail divisions for perfume and cosmetic houses. And I discovered sustainability about 5 years ago and decided to pursue sustainability and help businesses anchor sustainability within their business functioning when I set up Beauty of Change, which is a consulting company dedicated for beauty companies. And I believe that anchoring sustainability within business processes is the only way to go. And I'm happy to accompany businesses in trying to do so.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for their introductions. We clearly have a real expert panel today, so I'm looking forward to a fantastic and insightful session. To kick things off, I'd like to invite Natalie to share her findings from the Fragrance Foundation France Barometer study on perfume consumers. So, Natalie, the platform is yours.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Just try to share my screen. So the usual question, can you see my screen?
I think it's clear. Everything is clear.
Okay.
Visible.
Is it in presentation? Okay. So just a few words before we start on the what is the Fragrance Foundation. I know that you are sorry about that. I think that you are all familiar with the Fragrance Foundation France, but just a few words. It's a non-profit association that aims to promote and support the entire perfume industry. I mean, I would say from soil, from the raw material to the shelf. So this is really the global vision of the business. So we promote the know-how and the talents in the industry. We're also here to connect people and to connect professionals, and also something that is very dear to me, that is to share the passion of perfume, to make people dream and inform the general public about the fragrance. And we're also known and famous for the celebration we organize every year, that is the famous Fragrance Foundation Award that we knew before as a FIFI Award party, where we celebrate the big talents and the big success of the business. So what is the barometer? The barometer in French, is something that started in 2012. Very, very early, we have value the online vote for the FIFI Award that we name as a Prix du Public, the public choice. So quickly, we were at the head of a very large panel of voters, of people. And then in 2014, the idea of using this panel gave birth to the implementation of the first barometer. So it was a questionnaire developed around the major themes linked to the consumption of fragrance, the relationship we can have with fragrance, are we a very loyal customer to one fragrance, where do we purchase the fragrance? So a lot of information. And then so we have roughly every year 9,000 people answering to our barometer. So year after year, we have really refined our understanding of the needs and expectations of our consumers. And then in 2018, so it was not really long time ago, we started to introduce some questions related to the sustainability. So as you can see on the screen, our panel is super representative of all the age categories. It's men and women. But I would say, but it's only a French barometer for the moment. So this is only a French vision, but then we'll see that it says interesting as a change of mindset for people. The first thing I would love to share with you is not linked to sustainability directly, but it's a change of mindset that we have observed between 2014 and 2020. And I think even it's not linked to the sustainability, I think it means a lot about the perception of people, the perception of fragrance by our consumers. A new imaginaire around fragrances was born. I mean that when we take a look at what was the expectation when you ask people to give you the image of the fragrance, at the very beginning of the barometer in 2014, the first image we had were linked to super high, super chic, super luxury, with gold, with something very show off. We see the muses, the models were key when describing the word of fragrance. And then in 6 years, we switched to a more emotional universe, something that was more linked to the raw material, the ingredient, the storytelling of the fragrance. We have seen more and more the role of the perfumers being highlighted, meaning that we were more focused on what is inside the bottle. And I think this is a starting point for being aware of the sustainability change that will occur in our business. The first question we had about the in the barometer was about the organic fragrances, and the one question was, are you aware about organic fragrances? So 48% of the respondents said yes, we are aware, and 69% of them were considering that maybe their next fragrance purchase could be an organic fragrance. So that was something that happened in the recent years. And then when asking about the a list of actions that could be considered as levers to purchase a fragrance, the question was, when buying a fragrance, what are the environmental and social actions that may touch you and influence your purchase intent? And here, even it was since the year one of the barometer, we see that in most cases we are over 80% of people who say yes, this would be a major element that could really influence the way I'm going to change and I'm going to choose my fragrance. So we see that the locally produced, the made in local, so it was more like made in France for the French market. But when we really deep dive into this question, we see that things that are done locally in a craftsmanship way is something that is extremely important for people. The eco-design of the product, and this is very interesting because it's true that we first starting when thinking about sustainability, we first starting from environment and then we move to CSR. This is very interesting that eco-design is something very important in our business, especially for glass and how to recycle the elements and how we are considering the link between luxury, beautiful product, the big weight of glass, and being sustainable. So this is super important. Third element, the responsible sourcing. I think that knowing where the product comes from, knowing from where the ingredients come from, where they were made, and what is the assessment of the supplier who produced and who created these ingredients. So this is something extremely important. The social responsibility as well is extremely important. Then we see that green production and logistics account for 77%, and then for 75% the societal responsibility. So when thinking about that, you see that you cover all the key topics of the sustainability we talk about today. And then when we go further, and if we ask to people if the brands and the major companies should communicate on their CSR strategy, the answer is clearly yes for 76% of them. But, and then they were very precise on that, transparency above all, meaning you need to be super transparent in what we do, what you do. The sincerity is key as well. It has to be a real commitment. And then we also wait for a consistency between the raison d'être, the DNA of the company, and what you do in terms of CSR strategy. And even more than the CSR strategy, I think that the giving meaning to what you do and be committed and be involved, and to give you a raison d'être is super important. I think that we have all of us, we have been touched and impressed by the solidarity that happened where people decided to transform their production factory, where they were creating fragrance to produce some hydroalcoholic gel to supply all the people who need to have this key product during the beginning of the pandemic, where we have seen that no one was prepared to face and to cope with this tough situation. So I think that it was really a moment where we all understood that the raison d'être and giving meaning to what we do was important. And then it's interesting to spend time on this slide, because as we see that the majority of the respondents feel concerned about what's happening, about sustainability, upcycling, everything that is linked to CSR. But finally, they feel concerned, but for some of them, it remains super blur, super vague. They don't really know what to put inside this, and we see that we are really at the beginning of this awareness in the world of the fragrance and beauty and cosmetic. So this is something that is extremely important to have in mind, meaning that to be precise, to give the story a precise storytelling, and also to share what we do, and to make sure that we share everything with our consumer is extremely important. So this is what I wanted to share with you today. It's true that it's very difficult to talk about the sustainability in fragrance retail, in travel retail, sorry, by being only focused on the French market. But in my company, for Takasago, we did the same kind of approach in many different countries with a Toluna study. And then we have seen that, I give you the result we have, we are exactly at the same level of the one we had for the French market. And also when you take a look at the Chinese consumer, you see the same level of involvement of the consumer, meaning that sourcing the raw material ingredient, make sure that this sourcing is responsible and sustainable was key for 90% of the respondents in China. So meaning that it was something that was really very important and key. Eco-conception of the products was also an important point for 87% of the Chinese respondents. And then ethical, fair trade responsibility, like supporting the communities, the foundation, was also something that was close to 87% of the respondent. So definitely we started from the French example, but obviously this is true everywhere in the world today. So that's the barometer for the fine fragrance, the fragrance division and the Fragrance Foundation approach.
Thanks, Natalie, for such a comprehensive overview there. There really is some key elements like you mentioned the trend, like organic fragrances, the importance of eco-design, then the question of whether brands should communicate their CSR strategy. I'm sure that's something we're going to come back to later on. I think it'd be interesting to speak to the rest of the panel to see what key takeaways they took from that insightful presentation. Perhaps we should begin with Luce. Luce, was there any key elements which stood out from Natalie's presentation there? Any key statistics or insights you'd like to highlight there?
Yes, I think it's very clear, and I do agree with Nathalie on the fact that this is a picture of the French market, but I believe it's true worldwide. There's one thing maybe I could add, that there's a study that was made recently by Givaudan, which is another perfume house, where they looked at the criteria that became more important in the past year. And one of the three criteria was respect for the environment. So and the other two were actually neutrality and safety. So Nathalie, I think, is completely right. And it's all very, it goes in the same way. It's all very coherent. And the more time passes, the bigger the demands are from the consumers, and understandably, and so yes, I do agree with Nathalie, and this is accelerating, I think.
On that note, sorry, Luce, well, 1 second, Andy. On that note, you said in the last year, Luce, that study, are you seeing an increase in sensitivity, and same question to you, Nathalie, an increase in sensitivity about sustainable beauty since COVID?
Yes, definitely. The 2019 studies and the 2020 and 2021 studies that we have show that there's a bigger demand, and actually the commitments that consumers expect from brands are also in terms of communication. They want to know what brands do. It's true for fragrances, and it's true also for skincare and cosmetics. And it has accelerated in the past 18 months. Yes.
And does the barometer show that as well, Nathalie?
Yeah, definitely, yes. We see that the conscious is growing, and the pandemic was something super important, especially looking for what is good for me, good for the society, and good for the planet. So it's really, health is becoming a major value. So we see more and more, and I can see that even in my daily life, as I go on the side of the Takasago as a fragrance company. The number of briefs we receive where we have a chapter dedicated to sustainability and all these elements, I think now we can, it was something that happened every 10% of the brief before. I would say that we go to 100% of the brief we receive have this chapter dedicated to something linked to sustainability and respect for environment, respect for people, emotions. All the topics are there in every brief we receive now.
And this is only going to increase after once, as the recovery gathers pace from COVID. I imagine this element in the briefs is going to increase even more.
Yeah.
Okay, it'd be great. Possibly now we can bring in Cécile. Cécile, what were some of the key points which you noticed from that presentation there?
Yeah, first, I do totally agree with the insights of Nathalie and what Luce added to this barometer, because at Guerlain we say, and we like to say, that we have been launching our first sustainable development initiative 14 years ago, and it's not to be, a show off, but it was clearly quite before some other of the vulnerable houses of perfume and skincare and makeup, meaning all the luxury beauty brand. And this pioneering step really helped us, to ensured us really to anticipate the marketing expectation of our clients quite before COVID, to be honest, towards more transparent and responsible beauty brands on the whole, and mainly regarding our brand positioning in the field of naturality, because we really, perhaps I will go more in details in some, in minutes during these panels on our quest to naturality, but the demand for the client for transparency really helped us also to accelerate on transparency, on traceability, and thanks to a platform we revealed 2 years ago. That was also a pioneering step. But nevertheless, we have to admit that the health crisis added to the climate crisis, because it's important to say that all that is not new, to be honest. Call us all, in luxury in general, in cosmetics in particular, to reinvent ourselves again and to accelerate regarding this journey and ambition towards sustainability.
Okay, and Jean-Charles, any key insights which stood out for you there?
Yes, I totally agree with all the analysis done by my colleagues, and it's true that today our consumers they want some very good products and well with efficiency, sensoriality, etc. But they also care about the climate crisis, the biodiversity issues, and also all the inclusion and diversity for people from the different communities. And as consumers, they want to participate, and they want that the brands and the groups show their commitments, because we know that climate crisis, biodiversity, and health crisis, if we do nothing now, the business doesn't mean anything anymore. So it's very important to develop very consumer-centric products, but we have to take this very the climate and the planet in account, and to show that to the consumers.
And Philippe and Magali, anything which stood out for you there?
Yes, we are very concerned about all these subjects. Of course, we are producers, farmers in south of France, and living in a very wide and very beautiful environment. And this is one of our main concerns, to preserve the environment and the biodiversity. And even if we can improve it, it's even better. So, but still trying to earn enough money to make it, to live with our family in this environment. And I'm not here to make an advertise for L'Occitane en Provence, but it's an example of a good working together with them, because we are very close to Jean-Charles' team, and there are 6 agronomists working with us to
share the different knowing about organic agriculture. So it's really very important for us to have a new possibility of producing very nice produce and could preserve the environment.
That's a very good point. If companies get more and more involved in those points, ensuring a fair price for the producers, for the providers, suppliers, and also verifying that this is produced in good way to protect the environment, and even going further, trying new. That's what we are doing with L'Occitane en Provence. We are trying in the fields new techniques in agroecology. We are settling we are trying to develop biodiversity in our property at the same time, not only trying to make a good product safe for the customer, but it goes further. And this is what we are very thankful for that, because this is very gratifying for us.
I mean, you mentioned partnership there. Partnership is extremely important, and obviously sharing data and insights when possible. What I'd like to do now is just come back to Natalie, just to ask a few follow-up questions just relating to the study and in general. So perhaps, Natalie, can you just offer an insight? How has the Fragrance Foundation France benefited from the most recent study, and indeed previous ones? How do you, so in other words, how do you stand to benefit from the findings here?
It's something that we can share with the people the companies who are member of the Fragrance Foundation. So we share this information with the member of the association, and I think it was also something that is important to be implemented in the strategy, because obviously we don't have only super big companies who are member of the Fragrance Foundation. So it's true that in the case of Cécile, where it's really part of a big company, where the sustainability is a corporate decision, where everyone is on board. And we see that finally in the smaller companies, we have to take care and to integrate this knowledge inside. And I think it was important to have the ability to share it and to share it to the full the full people, all the people who are involved in the creation of a fragrance. And as I mentioned, from the farmer to the shelf. So that was something extremely important. And I think it was also something that we were a little bit shy in the fragrance world about the sustainability, because we had the feeling at the very beginning that it was maybe something that was not really compliant with the expectation of the consumer, who was always expecting for more glass, more gold, more outer packaging, more things, more. And then we said that it was part of a luxury product or something that will convey a certain level of refinement and all these details. And we know that these details were not really suitable by getting rid of some of these elements. So it was also something important for the awareness of that. And it was also something interesting because we know in the industry that we cannot be perfect overnight. So it has to be something that you become aware of, and then on which you are going to build your future strategy. Because people were also afraid that if they start a new line with this mindset of sustainability, and then next to that the older products were not compliant with this new demand, then it could be a trouble. It could be an issue for them. And we have seen, thanks to the barometer, that as soon as you are transparent, as soon as you recognize that today you are not perfect, but you are on the improvement curve, then you can really start to be as green as you can.
And I think you mentioned that, I think it was in 2018, it was when you decided to enrich the study with questions related to the sustainable development in general. Yeah. Just, can you tell us a little bit more, like how this came about? Was it like, it seems like it was a really important development.
Yeah. It's true that I feel a little bit guilty because it was a little bit late in the process, but we say it was the way where we decided to we were really sensitive to this topic, and this was the first step of our understanding of the situation, and then we moved from this point to just have additional question in our barometer linked to sustainability, to the creation of a prize in the Fragrance Foundation, where we give the Fragrance Foundation Award. We started last year, so in 2020, with one award dedicated to a sustainable launch product initiative or things like that. So that was, I think that we were in the process of considering that this will be part of the future of the strategy.
And just one final one, because I think we're going to go to a question from the audience shortly. Is it fair to say there's been like a change of imagination around perfume? And can you like perhaps with sustainability in mind, perhaps you can just give us an insight there?
Can you say again? Sorry.
Is it fair to say there's been like a change of imagination, like around perfume?
Yeah.
Perhaps with sustainability in mind. I mean, you introduced the elements of sustainable development in 2018. Has there been a change of imagination, would you say, and perhaps why?
Yeah. But a change in imagination, I think that also it translates a change in the expectations, meaning that we were only expecting for projection of an image before, and then more and more we are focused on the product itself and all the people involved in the creation of the product. And I think that we see that more and more we highlight the name, the role, the story, the vision of the perfumer, which was not really the case anymore in the past decade. So I think that it has really changed, and everything is linked, I think. Everything to go to the truth of the product, knowing what is inside, who has created it, what the product stands for, So it's really part of a change in the mind of people.
Okay.
Even if we keep the dream and everything, but I think that on top of that, it's not only about only dreaming and smelling good. There are other stories to be told about.
Absolutely. And question from the audience. In the barometer, you mentioned that social responsibility was fairly low down in the ranking when it comes to as in terms of a lever for purchase. The question is that because the concept of sustainability is still not very clear in the mind of the respondents?
I don't think so. I think it's linked to again, it's quite vague. So I think that people try to grab things they can understand, and they have read about the things, and I think that it's because we started from environment. So that was I think the first step to understand, the easiest thing to understand when we talk about the sustainable approach in fragrance, is to think about environment. That was the first thing that was communicated by the companies about how many water they have saved last year, the power and everything. And more we see on the path that there are things we can do for people, for communities, for the responsibility, for being inclusive, for all these elements. I think you discovered all these elements down the road. I think when you started your learning curve of the sustainability. So I think it's you go step by step.
Okay, and a question maybe, I mean, to you specifically on fragrance. You talk about the barometer being more geared towards, well, it's perfume fanatics and fragrance, so the more the luxury high-end consumer, I would think. But maybe some of the others could comment on this, loose perhaps. But if you analyzed across the beauty category in general, across all products within beauty, and you didn't just look at the luxury consumers who by definition would probably be quite savvy on sustainability, perhaps more so than less educated consumers, would you see a big difference, do you think, in the sensitivity towards sustainable beauty at less high-end consumers?
I think there are less and less difference. I think that every category now is
even wine, etc., because it's the case, for LVMH brand. We have been doing, we have remaining very mute, in fact, regarding all the effort we were making, by the way. And it's like a joke. Sometimes I say, we were practicing green hiding, not greenwashing, but green hiding, just because there is like, a kind of humility when it comes to sustainability, when you are a luxury actor. Because during years, we have, developed this kind of the creation, the products that we create. We have to develop this secret in order that it remains in the imaginaire of the clients a luxury product. And that's what Nathalie was saying. I'm sure that there is a reinitialization of values. And what make you dream? Years ago, it's no more the same. And the values are quite new. And above all, among the youngest generation. But, when we always say we are practicing sustainability because of the new generation, because of the new requirements, it's not totally true. Because to be honest, a young generation can also, help all the generation to be in search of more sustainability. And we are all suffering now, and we can say that during this pandemic, that we are all suffering now of the consequences of, the towards nature. As Jean-Charles was saying, the pandemic, I was speaking about climate crisis, but biodiversity erosion, all that, it's very visible and real. And that's why luxury does not have to remain in a Tour d'Ivoire, ivory tower. And we are experiencing, and it will be my last word on this topic because I could speak during hours. We experience a kind of an aggiornamento, should I say in Italian, or a momentum in the luxury sector. Now we speak about our commitments, and I think it's absolutely virtuous because when you start to communicate, particularly on this topic, you are obliged, to be not to be perfect, because it's the reason why nobody wanted to speak about sustainability in the luxury sector, because you are never perfect regarding sustainability, but it obliges you, to do better and to go more speed, to more demanding regarding your sustainability journey.
And I think you mentioned the younger generation. I think the younger generation, those, to coin the term, millennials, are going to be like keen to ask more questions. Like, I mean, I talk about the duty-free and travel retail environments when it comes to making a purchase. I think that sustainability is now going to be at the forefront. The millennials and younger generation are going to be asking questions of the staff. So I just think that the educational element is important, particularly among the inquisitive younger generation in the future.
Yeah, well, we'll see that in the research that Mindset are going to present on Thursday afternoon, where in several of the questions that are put to the panelists, millennials are often coming up as the most sensitive about sustainability, specifically in their purchases within travel retail. But sticking with you, Cécile, and you mentioned earlier as you introduced yourself, your experience across different sectors. You obviously got a firm grounding and long experience in sustainability with the finance sector, with the WWF, the Biodiversity Foundation, and so on. So I'm curious to know, what's your opinion? How does retail, or travel retail in particular, as well as just the luxury retail sector, perform compared to other sectors, these other sectors you've worked within?
I'm not a specialist of travel retail, to be honest. And when I am asking my travel retail teams, is that going, or are they demanding? Is there any clean retail, clean program, clean beauty, retailers program in tier? Because in the retail on the wall, the things are changed so really drastically and very quickly. I was sitting the Clean Initiative Retailers Program, but there is many other illustration of how far it goes now, how demanding our partners. But I would like myself to ask, for instance, Luce, who is knowing quite by heart the travel retail, universe. What do you think about it? Does the travel retail will have a particular, trajectory in terms of sustainability towards, luxury houses, towards beauty brands, or will it be, a frame like in other retailers program?
Well, Cécile, I'm not sure. I still know travel retail by heart, but I'll try to answer your question. Yes, definitely. I see travel retail operators who are committed to sustainability inside as companies. So, for example, I know that Heinemann and Lagardère Travel Retail, but I'm sure other operators are part of the Global Compact. The Global Compact is a UN emanation for businesses that commit to sustainability. So I do know that at least these two operators are part of the Global Compact. So as companies, they commit, and I believe there was a very important strategy day at the end of 2019, organized by Heinemann as well, where they invited their suppliers, so brands, to show that they want them as partners to travel together on this sustainability journey. So that's one first commitment. And then, of course, this is what you have to see in store for final consumers. And I am aware of clean beauty corners that were about to be launched just a year ago, and unfortunately, due to the closing of almost all airports last year, these kinds of campaigns was postponed. But I know that it's still on the agenda, and I know that other operators are very much committed to that and working hand in hand with brands. I've been told by one of my former colleagues as well that to list a new brand, and especially in skincare, but in all beauty, to list a new brand, there are requirements, and one of the big requirements are for sustainability commitments in terms of formula and in terms of packaging. So yes, absolutely, Cécile, to answer your question, things are really moving forward with the operators. And also, I believe, but then Michael, you would know more about that probably from the airport perspective. I do know, for example, there's this new terminal opening soon in Abu Dhabi. And the technical specifications that were sent to brands for capex, for stands, for furniture, were quite clear on the request for sustainable materials, etc. So, yes, I believe that a lot of things are happening on the travel retail front, be they operators or airports.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, because we've got both Lagardère Travel Retail and Arianta, who are both the tenants at the Midfield Terminal Abu Dhabi, who are going to be talking in the Path of Partnership session tomorrow. So, no, what day are we today? Wednesday. Yeah, I do encourage everyone to watch that, because it's going to be a really interesting one on what's going on there. But as you said, Luce, airports are really pushing the drive towards sustainability. We heard from San Francisco Airport a couple of weeks ago during the Travel Retail Sustainability Forum session, where Cheryl Nashier from SFO was talking, and she was saying the drive really is coming from them. So, but we'll hear from Vancouver Airport as well during one of the sessions later this week. So we'll hear more on the airport perspective. But,
that's great to see that there's this partnership between airports, operators, and brands. I think it's the triptych in travel retail, and it's very important.
And just
I think the partnership. Sorry, Andy. The partnership model in the future will revolve a lot more around sustainability from the conversations we're having. Go on, Andy. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to add on airports. Airports like San Francisco are considering ways of like bringing sustainability into requests for proposals and contracts. It's going to be if it's not now, it's going to be a key part of the bidding process, which interested parties are going to have to adhere to. So it's all very, very encouraging that airports are taking, as Michael alluded to, that extra step forward.
Yeah,
sustainability.
As Arianta will be talking about, Nuna was sharing with us last week. A significant, growing part of the briefs are focusing around sustainability benchmarks. I think you mentioned around 35%. He will correct me if I'm wrong on that tomorrow, I believe, or the day after when he's talking. But certainly a growing part of the RFP tender documents are focusing on sustainability. But anyway, moving on, while we're still on Cécile, sorry. Cécile, could you tell us a bit about the key pillars of Guerlain's sustainability strategy? We took part in your wonderful press conference a few weeks back, where we witnessed some of the initiatives. Could you talk us through some of what Guerlain is doing?
Yeah, with pleasure. I'd like to thank Nathalie, because Nathalie highlighted the fact that at Guerlain, sustainability is very integrated, integrated at the core of strategy. And that's true. During the preparation, when we were sharing, I really can, testimony on this fact. So you also quoted and cited raison d'être, so in English, purpose. And please let me just start before going into details, Michael, on our 4 key pillars regarding sustainability strategy. I'd like to share the fact what's brand new at Guerlain is that the Maison has a purpose. Yes, it has been recently announced, and it's great because it's a total echo with what Nathalie said. As you know, it expressed as we took part at Guerlain on the production of hydroalcoholic gel last year, but on the wool, at the core of the purpose of Guerlain stay nature and be, and this is our particularity, this is our singularity. I'm not going to speak about bees during all these panels, because I'm sure it's not what you expect from a panel on a future of beauty, in terms of sustainability. But just you have to keep in mind that this is our historical symbol, and it was also a source of infinite inspiration for Guerlain. Just remember, you know, the bee bottle, the first refillable bee bottle, fragrance bottle in the world. It was 170 years ago. I'm joking because at this moment it was not produced, you know, on this purpose. But I'd like to say that it was the first model of refillability in the perfume industry. And the bee still stand at the heart of commitment to sustainability, because my COMEX is always saying, without biodiversity, you know, without bees, there won't be pollination, there won't be, you know, perfume plant, there won't be honey to produce and source Abeille, etc. And I'd like to add that there won't be biodiversity and there won't be humanity. So as you can imagine, we have a chance, but we also have a great responsibility to have the symbol of, you know, the sentinel of environment as a logo. So just it was to start with our purpose, which is in the name of beauty, we commit and act by enhancing nature as art, sharing its wonders with future generation, with bee as a sentinel. So you see, it's crystal clear. And as a consequence, we have to adopt, and that's what we do, we have to adopt an holistic approach to sustainability, encompassing all the métier of Guerlain and all the channels also of communication. It's quite new. It's quite new because we have been shy. We started our sustainability journey 14 years ago, but we only, you know, share on it since 2 or 3 years only. Always this kind of humility, you know, I was explaining before. And we do that with the clear course at the center of our brand philosophy, the bee. That's what the reason why you will see a lot Guerlain, even on TR. And I hope soon all, you know, our TR POS will be reopened. But we, for example, we will really lay the stress on our bee conservation program and raise awareness about it during World Bee Day, and it is in less than 1 month. For instance, it's just to ask you to keep in mind and to, you know, to stay tuned about it. But to be honest, the key pillars of Guerlain sustainability strategy, above of course bees. This is first our initiative to boost sustainable innovation in full transparency and traceability, with a deep focus on clean beauty, naturalness, circular economy, as well as traceability. Again, thanks to our traceability platform launched 2 years ago. Secondly, we pledge naturally to preserve biodiversity and leading bee protection. And our deep focus in this field is to automatize sustainable certified ingredient sourcing. As Natalie said, we are very awaited on this particular, you know, pillar of sustainable sourcing, and we have to prove it. And we had recently, you know, signed partnership with a non-profit organization to prove we source in the good way. But I will speak to that later if I have time, because I'm sure Jean-Charles, it will be, you know, it's really his key job, and L'Occitane is doing so much that it's also very inspiring for Luxury House to see how L'Occitane managed to you know, to pilot this sustainable sourcing. Thirdly, we are taking action naturally for climate by reaching carbon neutrality within 2030, and it's really, really hard. It's you know, a very hard task, but we will manage to do it. And I can, of course, if we have time, explain you how. And lastly, because Luce and Natalie also explained that, we managed to connect the dots, you know, between bees and society to create positive social contributions through bees, meaning placing Guerlain at the forefront of an impactful, sustainable female empowerment program, Women for Bees, that we have launched on the 8th of March. And just to conclude on the frame, I'd like to add also that all our sustainable development actions are not built on their own, but also from the richness of our dialogues with our stakeholders. And from this perspective, 2 years ago, we created an external ethical committee. We call it our Sustainable Board, a panel of wise men and women who challenge us on the major topic of conscious beauty, climate, biodiversity, and bees and eco-design. And for instance, the godfather of this sustainable board is Yann Arthus Bertrand, you know, the well-known artist and ecologist, activist. And for instance, we have in this sustainable board the pride to have the founder of the Clean Beauty application, Candice Collin, Clean Beauty, the application called Clean Beauty. And you know, it's not easy every day because she challenges us a lot. But for us, it's like, you know, a backbone to be sure that we remain very aligned in our sustainable trajectory.
And you mentioned circularity, Cécile. Does that mean that we will see more luxury brands going down the same route as we're seeing about L'Occitane doing, but also you see in supermarkets, I think Asda and Aldi are talking about where you have the refillable options for luxury brands. And is that something a luxury consumer will be able to deal with?
Definitely. You know, I belong to a group which is LVMH, and definitely we have, you know, we have changed our mindset, or not change, evolve in the way to communicate. So in reality, we did refillability for years, but now we are going to say, we are going to address the public to say, for instance, regarding circular economy, 100% of our new glass bottles and jars have been made with part recycled material, etc. Things that we didn't dare to say because we were afraid, you know, of the alliance between circular economy and luxury, you know, concepts. That was crazy. But now be sure that you will see a lot of, you know, initiative highlighted on this perspective.
Okay, and you said earlier there's been 14 years, the sustainability journey for Guerlain. So there must have been some challenges along the way. Can you tell us a bit about the bumps along the road that you've had?
Well, very simply first, you know, we started with design, not with formulas. We started through eco-design. Honestly, and the biggest challenge at this time to carry eco-design further was while keeping on offering a luxury experience, meaning precious object. And you know, in the mindset of many of us, many of you know, luxury consumers, clients, you know, the packaging, because packaging is an excellent example. Packaging of luxury creation should have or had to be, you know, very weight, very heavy, very large, very, you know, a lot of space has to be occupied when it comes to luxury packaging. And now, as you know, it's changing very fast, and our priority at Guerlain and many other luxury house, perfume and or cosmetic on the wall in the luxury sector is to play, you know, for recycling, reduction, reuse, refill, reincorporation of post-consumer materials, your question on circularity, lowering carbon footprints. And you cannot say, I want to reach carbon neutrality if you are not, you know, lowering the size and the weight of your packaging. And to be honest, there's not ready to use a unique recipe response. It really depends on the houses, but also on the category of your products, meaning its ways, its use. We are not doing the same, you know, we are not applying the same sustainability and eco-design strategy when it comes to perfume, where we are using a lot of glass, it's very heavy. And when it comes to makeup, and makeup, as you know, this is very light products. So it depends on the analysis of full life cycle of your product. And you cannot say Guerlain is going to do refillability on 100% of its portfolio. It will be, it won't be, you know, logical to do that. We sometimes prefer refillability on the premium franchise, for instance.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Dandy, please.
Oh no, there was. I think you just, Cécile, you just mentioned, you touched on packaging, and I've just seen a question from the audience. It's actually from Ian Hill, which reads: he says, consumers expect fragrances to be presented in individually designed heavy glass bottles within luxury packaging, and he says organic ingredients in formulations are more widely accepted. But how can packaging, like in general, become more sustainable? Perhaps you've got something to add on that.
Yeah, because I do believe that's not true that for the perfume you have to have an EV bottle. For instance, the refillability of perfume is something that is quite required today. It could be, it will be nonsense, even for not even for luxury house, should I say. Moreover, and before all, for a luxury house to encompass and to embrace refillability, having refillability. A model of refillability on its flacon. And your second question regarding sourcing, I'm sure we started to approach, naturality, naturalness at Guerlain and eco formulas, mainly through our skincare ranges. And now on makeup, and it was a real challenge on makeup, because if you know cosmetics, you know that on makeup franchise, it's quite trickier to manage to move from synthetic to natural formula. But on perfume, we made the exercise, and many of our perfume are already, ranking over the 90% of naturality. But honestly, it is because the main formula of a perfume, it's made of water and alcohol. So it will be like, I think, dissonant to make the consumer believe that this is our trajectory to have the perfumes more natural than ever. No, what we are saying, regarding perfume is that we have to ensure that our iconic ingredients, strategic ingredients, the perfume plant that we are sourcing at Guerlain since nearly 200 years ago are sourcing the good way, meaning are sourcing in respect for biodiversity, respect for ecosystem, but also respect for the people who are versed and cultivate them.
Okay, thanks for that. Is there any more from Michael?
Yeah, we're getting a lot of questions coming in from the audience, and I've got some more for Cécile, but I think we need to move on.
At the end, when everybody is going to speak.
But before we do move on, I think, Andrew, we would need to move on to Jean-Charles, who's been patiently waiting. But Cécile, just a note on Guerlain. They are one of our Sustainability Hub partners, so there's a lot of information on their Sustainability Hub on the web, on the Travel Retail Sustainability Week platform. So do go and visit that. Lots of press releases on there and videos and so on, so you can find out more. So Andy, let's move on to Jean-Charles now.
Okay, before I do, just wanted to remind everybody that questions can be submitted for panelists using the Q&A button on the right-hand side of the screens. I say we're receiving a lot of questions, but it'd be great to keep them coming. Jean-Charles, just wanted to ask you, kick things off and ask you about your company and how it's pursuing any specific actions regarding biodiversity, because I know this is quite an important element for L'Occitane.
So first, I totally agree with Cécile when she speaks about traceability, global product approach. We often speak about key ingredients, but maybe the acceleration of our company today is from our key ingredients, we adopt a global approach, because behind brands, you have also companies, and to have a corporate commitments. And biodiversity is central, because at L'Occitane, we work thanks biodiversity, with biodiversity, and for biodiversity. Thanks because since the beginning, the brand starts with essential oils and shea butter and all the savoir-faire of cosmetics, but the natural ingredients are at the heart of the story of our brand. We work with, because the natural ingredients are an inspiration, and also we know that they are very efficient. If you take the essential oil, it's one of the most active ingredients in the world. And we work because, as we said before, climate crisis, biodiversity crisis, and all these people who are depending of biodiversity, we have to contribute to mitigate the climate crisis and to preserve and restore the biodiversity. So I'm very lucky, because at L'Occitane we have an entire team dedicated to biodiversity and sustainable ingredients. And for example, we work with more than 100 farmers in direct purchase, and more than 10,000 women in Burkina Faso. And it's maybe more difficult to work directly with farmers because they are small families, and we need standardization as a big company. But we also the big chance that we have to work with them is that we are linked directly with the field, and we know that biodiversity and ecosystem are the key for our business, but also for the whole humanity. And that's why I'm very proud to work on this subject, because it's not just doing more sustainable business, but it's also to contribute to the next generation. So we always try to measure, then reduce our impact, and finally contribute to maximize our positive impact. And to do that, for our key and strategic ingredients, we are very committed to source them from organic agriculture. And also, we want that these people, this family in Burkina Faso, in Provence, in Corsica, working every day in the field to produce so fantastic and efficient plants and raw materials. We want that they can develop their own business, as Philippe and Magali said. They just want to earn their money, and we want to work with family producers because they need to produce to live, but they also they have a responsibility on the territory to take care about the environment and the ecosystem. And when you speak about biodiversity, most of the biodiversity is cultivated biodiversity, you know, and is the source of so many for cosmetic, medicines, foods, clothes, and all our business are linked to these small producers. That's why we are from now more than 20 years in Burkina Faso, and more than 15 years in Provence, and yes, for lavender it's more than 20 years also. So we work directly with these farmers, and in Burkina Faso, for example, we are certified organic and fair trade. And now we launch a project that we want that all our iconic ingredients from France will be certified fair trade up to 2025, because this is to show very quickly to a consumer that you are committed. The certification as fair trade or organic is very important. And L'Occitane brand is not an organic brand, but you can show that you are committed on the quality and on environment, on your key ingredients. And so we are very happy to work every day with these family farmers. And also, so we speak about key ingredients, and we also want to go further, because you know that in cosmetics you have a very large catalog of raw materials, and we always speak about key ingredients, but we never speak about commodities, and it's a very, very important point. So we're committed to have traceability, and Cécile, I know that Guerlain do a lot on that. So first, my colleagues Katia work with EcoVadis to have a very good traceability and good relationship with all of our suppliers. And we want for the L'Occitane brand that all the plants composing our different raw materials, we want to know the origin of all the catalog. And it's more than, I don't know, more than 1,500 different raw materials, but it's a very, very big job. But traceability is the first step to address the very big impact of your catalog and your brands. And that's why we start from the key ingredients, and now year after year we go to the different communities, and it's a big job, but it's very important to go there to have transparency and to be sure that our formula will be natural and will contribute to regenerate the biodiversity on the planet. And maybe if you want to speak more about producers, so Philippe and Magali are here. So Michael, if you want to to have an example of what does it mean working with producer on the field. I'll let you ask them.
Shall we have a small video, I think, queued up?
To introduce their farm. Yes, you can launch it, and maybe they can then explain how we work together every day on the field.
It'd be great to learn a bit more how sustainability is integrated into relationships with the producers. So it'd be great.
So let's watch that video now then. So Jean-Charles, we've just seen that video. Do you want to pass over to Philippe and Magali and get them to introduce themselves?
Okay, so you see the video now.
Yeah, we didn't, but everybody else did. So.
Okay, all right. It's quite strange.
So Philippe and Magali, do you want to tell us a bit more about what we saw on that video there, about how you farm, and the sustainable attributes of and how that's increased in recent years?
Yes, well, we are
maybe you can speak about agroecology, because I didn't speak yet.
Yes, we can give some examples. Agroecology is the brand new subject, so it's new for us. We are farmers so for more than 20 years, and totally organic now for more than 10, and working with L'Occitane since 5-6 years together. And from the beginning, we worked together directly on ecological subjects. They proposed us to make a biodiversity diagnostic in the farm, because we live in a protected area. So we are very involved in the protection of nature, and we were very motivated for this diagnostic. And that was fascinating, because specialists, naturalists came into the farm and made a diagnostic of what was in place here. But they also gave us a lot of possibilities to improve our techniques to help biodiversity to even develop more, even if it's a good start in our farm. So that's a subject we love. And after that, we have a very frequent contacts with Jean-Charles' teams. There are 6 agronomists, as I told you, and they come at least 10 times a year in the farm to visit the fields, to see how the crops are going on, and they follow us very often, and we exchange on technical and even economical, every subject. We exchange a lot together with trust, and that's great. And we also, yes, we are speaking about agroecology. This is the brand new subject, as I told. We are trying to go further to develop new techniques. This is new for us, so we are trying in our fields new techniques like cover crops, like wood chips that we put in the fields, like less tillage, much less tillage in the fields, which is a big point for pollution, because it creates a lot of carbon emanations. And so these are new tries we are putting in the fields for 1 year only, so it's we are newbies in this, but we are passionate by that because we think it's a very good solution for a clean agriculture, and at least what else? There was a last point I want.
For me, I think sustainability is the relationship between us and L'Occitane, because we feel involved in the subject of working for a big farm who is implicated in the respect of the environment. And it's really, really very important for us to produce something clean, and that we work for someone or for a firm who is involved in these things.
So a question coming from the audience here, and you can both address this, Philippe Magli and Jean-Charles. Is it difficult, this from Mathieu Bazar, sorry, from Pure Essentiel, is it difficult to find organic farmers for all your global sourcing? And is the supply chain ready, or do you need to better train them? So maybe you'd like to talk about the training aspects on organic farming.
Yeah, I can answer. So it's difficult to have local production, organic production, and to be sure that it will fit with your standard expectation, because we have like quite a high standard expectation in terms of quality. That's why I will take one example. In Burkina Faso, we start to source some shea butter there, and then we work with the women cooperative locally to do the transition, organic transition, and then to improve the quality and to improve the development of this cooperative. We get certified in 2009 fair trade business, and that's why I not only speak about organic, but organic and regenerative agriculture, because you know that shea sourcing is agroforestry sourcing, and fair trade is linked, because if you want some very high quality products, organic products, agroecological products from happy producers, you need to pay the good price, and to pay the good price, you need to know how it costs to this producer to one, produce, and then to develop their own business. And it's difficult because it takes time. Doing cultivating, for example, verbena in regenerative agriculture is not easier as conventional, but at the end, it's the insurance to have a traceable, high quality and very committed ingredients, because you will help people locally, and you also will help to restore and preserve the biodiversity locally.
I'm going to put you on the spot here with quite a difficult question, actually, Jean-Charles. Before we do need to move on, I've got some questions for Luce as well. But here's a nice, nasty one for you. Jean-Charles, you said that essential oils are and have been a key part of L'Occitane's products. However, the person asking the question says, essential oils have been linked to skin irritations and sensitive skin types. Is sustainability, in this case, more important than customer safety?
So it's a very good question, and when you speak about climate crisis or biodiversity or safety, you can't just take one point. You have to do the synthesis, and for sure the security of our consumer is very, very important. And what is good that in innovation and research, and we have a very, very committed researcher at L'Occitane, you can have a lot of fun and discover a lot of process to extract some power of plants. So essential oil, I take this example because it was the beginning of the story story of L'Occitane. But if you look at my catalog today, it's very more diversified than only essential oils. And I repeat that there is no choice between efficiency and safety. So all the job is to have both of them in our products.
Okay, thanks for that. I'm obviously conscious of time, and we do.
I have some questions I can pose to Luce in the last.
Please. Yeah, please do. Go ahead, Andy.
Hi, Luce. Just wanted to ask you a little bit about startups. From your experience, do you see that when you're like in dialogue with startups, there is a strong commitment towards sustainability and social issues, like at the outset? Is it, I don't know if I use the word DNA, is it kind of in their DNA from the start, or does it require like certain element of like convincing to make them adopt a sustainability strategy? And my other question maybe is how do startups and maybe larger companies for that matter advance their sustainability strategies through innovation? Have you got any thoughts on some of those?
Yes, thank you, Andrew. There are a lot of young brands in beauty that started 2 years ago or up to 10 years ago, and for whom sustainability is right from the beginning, from the outset in their DNA. And I don't even believe that they call it sustainability. It's just that they were born this way, and when they started working on their products, very often they are brands, DNVBs, digital native vertical brands that were co-created with consumers via social networks, etc. And they do innovate in that way, and they have direct communication with the consumers right from the beginning. And actually, I believe that in a way they helped trigger the realization from more vulnerable brands that it's time to communicate, because maybe existing groups were, as Cécile said, were doing a lot, but not saying much about what they were doing. And so these startups really helped trigger this communication from the older brands, if I may. And also they innovate differently. They can propose very different types of products right from the beginning. And I would say, for example, the solid cosmetic, solid shampoo bars, solid conditioner bars, etc. The pioneers in that field, and that field is actually quite important. There's a study from Kantar that says that 25% of French people bought at least one solid cosmetic product last year, and not soap. I mean, solid soap is very regular, but I'm talking toothpaste, shampoo, etc. So 1 in 4 people last year. So it's quite a lot, and it's growing. And that axis of beauty exists or has gained momentum thanks to these startup brands, like, for example, L'Amazona, which is one of the pioneers, and that was set up over 10 years ago. And now the big players are coming to this kind of product. And I think it's thanks also to this type of innovation that was feasible for a brand that was just starting, for whom consumers maybe had different expectations, and that triggered innovation for the big groups. So I think there's this kind of not necessarily working together, but partnering in a way. I mean, borrowing different routes towards the same goal of sustainability, whether you call it sustainability or not. But what's interesting for me is that there are startups and there are longer existing brands, and in a way they both move forward with sustainability, but with different strategies. And I think that both are very interesting.
And obviously you mentioned that it's almost like the magic word during this COVID-19 period is partnership. Just how important are these partnerships between the stakeholders? And these can include like long-term commitments with raw material suppliers in the perfume segment, for example. So perhaps you could elaborate there a little bit.
Yes, partnerships are one of the main levers for sustainability. Partnerships and innovation are two very big levers. And as Jean-Charles and Philippe and Magali showed, how important it is to partner with your whole ecosystem, including suppliers, but also because stakes are so high, is to partner with your competitors. And this is what, for example, I believe L'Occitane and Coty and Clarins and Rocher are doing with the Responsible Beauty Initiative, which was set up to engage with the whole value chain, to work with the value chain on sustainability. And this Responsible Beauty Initiative was set up between competitors and organized by EcoVadis, which is an association which is working on sustainability of value chain. So yes, so you've got at the very beginning partnership with suppliers, with competitors, and also at the end with distributors. And we were discussing travel retail operators earlier. It's true, of course, for travel retail, it's true for local markets, but the stakes are so high, and companies are not alone in their ivory tower, as Cécile was saying. So yes, companies, businesses are part of a whole ecosystem, and partnerships are absolutely key to move forward.
And so
Liz, just thank you very much to speak about coalition and competitors, because it's a key to move forward and very faster than before, and working with our competitors, but also in a multi-sectorial approach. It's very important. We can learn a lot, and we can have a lot more power if we work together, and with more impact. And maybe if we speak about sustainable ingredients, we will speak about 1,000 of hectares and not 100 of hectares, and it's very important for the future of our businesses and for the planet.
Yes.
So it seems like it's more common we're seeing competing brands creating initiatives together, particularly when it comes to sustainability and sustainable beauty. This is like really kind of refreshing, I guess, in a way. Would you say?
Sorry,
it's really common to see competing brands creating initiatives together. I guess this is like really refreshing. It's like it's important.
Yes, if you say so, yes, we can say it's refreshing, and it's I think it's the only way to move forward, really.
Okay.
One area of collaboration which would be interesting to see, can brands in the sector do this? Are brands doing this in the sector? And it comes, it's a question we were discussing, Cécile and Cannes, a couple of years ago, and it's something that Frédéric Beaulieu from Sophie La Girafe, Parfum Sophie La Girafe, has been asking. It's about the wraps. You're all in the same boat when it comes to the perfumes, packaging, and beauty packaging having to be, and airlines at least, being wrapped in the cello wrap. Has Luce, from your experience, are you seeing any brands investing in biodegradable, compostable, dissolvable, sustainable packaging? And are any of you working on this? And is this an area where collaboration with competition could help drive the industry forward in this area?
Yes, definitely there's work, a lot of work which is done around that. As of today, I'm not aware of a compostable solution that is 100% safe in terms of solidity, but I know that there's a lot of work that's been done. Now, there are some brands that have decided not to use cellophane at all, but as a result, they have to cut themselves from a certain distribution. So it is a major decision to make. But in terms of working on the compostable and solid cellophane, I guess you're right. If there was a partnership between brands, and maybe there is, definitely it would help for the matter move forward. And especially in travel retail, this is important.
Nathalie, as an association, is this not an area where the French Fragrance Foundation can come into play and coordinate?
Yes, could be an option, because we see that there is everything is linked, and the value chain is totally linked. But I think that so far it has not been in the mission of the Fragrance Foundation to go on that direction. But it's true that we see more and more open innovation actions when it comes to sustainability. So yes, it's a good idea. Why not? Why not being a coordinator on that topic? I take the point.
Good. We'll look forward to talking more on that in the future. Cécile, what's your experience? Have things moved on? You're on mute.
Sorry, I was on mute. No, I think that there is an interesting parallel, with with the jewelry activity in the luxury sector. Let's remember that it was 15 years ago that all the jewelers accepted to sit on the same table and create the RJCs, responsible African steel. So it's another sense of history that all the luxury brands can sit together. But as Jean-Charles was saying also, there's so many axes we are working on. For instance, at Guerlain, we sit, of course, with our cousin brands, on the LVMH group to accelerate on the same way. And the first milestones. Of course, we also participate to external, when I say external, meaning interprofessional and editorial initiative. For instance, you have on packaging, you have on eco-formulas, you have on sourcing, etc. So the way is really to sit on the same table and accelerate. On the cosmetic industry and on not the luxury industry, but for instance, the LVMH group represents all the brand, for instance, on palm oil, round tables, or fair trade, etc. So it was natural, but I think we have to absolutely to accelerate and perhaps ask Natalie to find, and to monitor how all our brands can, go further regarding single-use plastic, cellulose, as Luce was saying, because, we have, to be honest, we also, and transparent, we also have many of our historical partners knocking at the door saying we have the solution, and then you try and then you see that it's not feasible for the moment, that it has to be roll out. It's sometimes not ready to use for the moment. So perhaps by being more and more around the table, it could go.
It looks like you're going to have your work cut out for you, Natalie, after this session now. So.
My to-do list, I have a heavy to-do list after this meeting.
Maybe Michael, if I can just complete, because working with competitors, but also with a third part like NGOs or, for example, at L'Occitane, we work with IUCN, so International Union for the Conservation of Nature, and they don't have a part in the business. So they are very challenging, and it's very important for us to be sure that we are appointing the good objective and the good commitments. So working with our competitors, as we are a member of One Planet Business for Biodiversity, but also working with NGO and third parts are very important to be sure that your commitment and your strategy on sustainability is fair and is enough to address these very, very high issues as a climate crisis and biodiversity.
I think, sorry, go ahead, Cécile.
Yeah, we just like to add that I do totally agree with Jean-Charles. And for instance, regarding, sourcing in respect, I was saying that we were working with a new partner, but this is an NGO. This is UEBT that Jean-Charles is knowing very well. And at Guerlain, we are quite proud, and that was one of the initiative that I am the most proudest of, is to have opened this alliance with the Union for Ethical Biotrade, with them of being awarded their external accreditation and qualitative references. Exactly what Jean-Charles was saying, because this kind of NGO working with non-profit association, working with all the actors. This is really the key for us, because they do challenge us. We are without having any, interest, just the one that the most of the cosmetic brands are committing to sourcing with respect in terms of natural ingredients.
As the session title implies, it looks like there's a beautiful future ahead for the category. We're coming very close to the end. We've actually gone over the time here. So what I'd like to do is we could go on talking, I'm sure, for another hour at least. There's so many topics to talk about, and we haven't covered everything we want to talk about. But there's a question I've just flagged up there for the audience they can see, and it's about the next steps, really. I'd like all of you to kind of wrap up with your concluding remarks, but in those concluding remarks, talk about some of the next steps. So, you know, from your perspective, it will be where you see the industry going. And this question, excuse me, this is really for all of you, but it's from Bérangère Felbabel, and the question is: Natura is a B Corp. Givaudan, Firmenich, Clarins are working on the certification. Will L'Occitane or Guerlain also become B Corp? And I know we're going to steal some thunder there from Raphael, but Jean-Charles, you can kick off with that, and then Cécile, Nathalie, and Luce, if you want to give yours, and of course Philippe and Magali, give your concluding remarks. Bearing in mind, you know, where's the industry going in the future? What's the next step in terms of B Corp certification for the industry as well, Luce? Let's start with Cécile.
Cannot announce anything, but to be honest, yes, we absolutely do study the B Corp certification. I cannot say if we will be able to enter it. I know it's very demanding, but we are on the track, you know, of course, to ask for that and to be relevant.
So what are the next steps for Guerlain in terms of the sustainable future?
Yeah, you know, the next step is first, as I was saying, I was speaking about UEBT. It means our hero ingredient being certified, but also, as Jean-Charles was saying, all our commodities ingredients also being able to trust them, to be transparent on all of them. You know, it's fine to say I am seeking the B Corp certification, etc. But we have so many ambitions for 2030 that now I would like that we manage to push with this effort in the good way first until 2030, rather than launching new and plenty of new initiatives, to be honest.
Thank you, Cécile. Jean-Charles, that question was also to you. So.
Yeah, so I will not speak a lot because Raphael, you will break his announcement. But yes, B Corp is very important in the group and for the business units. So, but if you want to know more about that, just listen. Raphael is the next day, and she will explain you what we do. For me, I'm very. We have a big ambition regarding regenerative agriculture, and I'm very happy because I'm from the field because my parents were farmers, and if you look at the transition of the agriculture since the I don't know, maybe 20 past years, it's a very difficult journey because, you know, growing sustainable ingredients but also standard ingredients with the high quality is very difficult. But from the producers to the big company as L'Occitane, but also all the company reaching OP2B, so One Planet business for biodiversity, we see that the regenerative agriculture will be one of the key to continue our business, to continue to use natural ingredients, but at the same time contribute to regenerate biodiversity. The journey is very difficult, and I'm an agronomist, and it's honestly is very hard and what we ask to producers. But if we work together and if we work on the same way, and if we push together on that things, it can be a key for climate crisis, because we know that regenerative agriculture is sequestrate some carbon, and you use less water, you will use less chemicals, etc. And if the cosmetics but also the food sector can help the transition of this producers, it will be a very big progress for biodiversity and the planet.
Thanks, Jean-Charles. And for you, Philippe and Magali, you want to enchaîner. What's the future hold for you?
Yes. Well, first of all, I would like to thank all the brands that are involved in those subjects, because this is very important, and this is the future, to be linked together, to work in the same way. The planet needs it. Everybody needs it. And it will be anyway an issue for everybody in some decades, to go even further than protect nature, but to restore it. That's why also I believe in regenerative agriculture, and thanks to the brands who are implicated, who are spending time and money to help us to work in a good direction. And this is even for them, for the brands, I think it will be obligatory in somehow in few time. I don't know when exactly, but with the carbon emissions and all those subjects, that will be a real cost for a period pretty soon, I guess.
Thank you. And as I mentioned for the Guerlain Sustainability Hub, the same for L'Occitane. They also have a sustainability hub, so you can look on there and find out a lot more information about L'Occitane en Provence's sustainable investments. So moving swiftly on, thank you, Philippe and Magali. Moving swiftly on, Luce, would you like to give a kind of a holistic wrap up of where the industry, where the sector is going in the future, and with regards to B Corp and other aspects?
Yes, I think what actually, when you talk about B Corp and this type of certification, what you touch upon is comparability. To be able to compare performance within the beauty industry, but also versus other sectors. And I think this is really the big next step. Certifications. Also, it goes with science-based objectives, the science-based targets approach initiative, where exactly when a company is committed to become carbon neutral, for example. And then comparability means really being able to know where companies are, and it's important for all stakeholders. It's important for consumers. It's also important for investors, because we haven't talked about investors. Well, it wasn't the subject of the panel today, but they are one of big stakeholders, and it's very important that they be able to compare in order to invest in the companies that really commit. And I believe that science-based objectives and commitments for certification, such as B Corp, help make this whole sustainability concept really understandable and comparable for everyone.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you, Luce. And finally, the mot de la fin, Nathalie, would you like to conclude from the associative and your own personal Tagasaco perspective?
Yeah, I think that I was impressed by something that happened in the world of fashion. That was the claim, you are what you wear. And I think this is something that we could really translate into the world of fragrance, and especially pushed by the request, the expectation of the final consumers. I think that the entire industry of beauty and cosmetic is in the process of a green revolution. And obviously, I would say it's only the beginning. And I think that the sustainability consciousness is something that is going to be the future of our business. And I think it had pushed a lot. And I think that what is interesting, and I really appreciate that during our 2 hours together, we didn't opposite synthesis and natural, because that was sometimes that is a risk in this kind of situation. And this is not the topic of the day. I think the topic is truly to make sure that what we do is made from nature and made from a renewable nature, whatever it is at the end, a synthesis or natural. So I think it's a super interesting trend that is pushing everyone to be better.
Thank you very much. As I say, it's a sign of a great session when we could probably, as Michael said, go on for another couple of hours and touch on so many other issues that we haven't. But I think now we have to draw to a close. Just wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you for your passion, your energy, for all the information you provided on trends. And it's so refreshing to hear all your strategies, that there's such commitment and dedication to this important issue. And as I say, hopefully on TR Business, we look forward to covering all of this, and on our website, which, as I mentioned earlier, has a dedicated sustainability section now. So I think other than to thank our sponsors again and all our speakers, I've not got anything more to add other than to look forward to what the future holds. We have made great progress, but we've got plenty of work to do. I speak from put my travel retail hat on here, and I think I'll hand over to Michael for his closing remarks. if Michael's there. Michael, I think Michael, are you there? Okay, then in that case, as I say, I think I've basically closed off there. As I say, I can only echo my thanks again, and I hope everybody enjoyed the session. There's plenty more to look forward to later in the week. I think Michael is now back with us. Michael. No, he's not. So all I can say is it's probably best I close off then, and just to say there's plenty of other sessions for you all to look forward to during the week. And I hope you all continue to enjoy the platform and maximize all it has to offer. So on that note, thank you all very much. And
back in, don't worry. I had a brief power cut there.
No worries, Michael, I was closing off, but you can please jump in because I think you've got some housekeeping you'd like to.
Yeah, sorry about that. Ollie, am my screen showing at the moment? Great, thanks a lot. Sorry, so I just cut off totally there because I had a power cut here and thankfully got back online straight away. So I'd just like to say thanks to all of you for watching. Thanks to all our panelists. I'm sorry, Andrew, if I missed your closing remarks and you've done all this, but thanks to Natalie, Cecile, Luz, Jean-Charles, Philippe and Magali. It was a really rich session. I found it really fascinating. And I look forward to the follow-up coverage on trbusiness.com, where we'll be going into more detail about this particular topic. And we'll be featuring an interview with Natalie in the next few days. So you can check that out on the website. Thanks, of course, to all of you, as I said, for watching, but also to our session sponsors. Again, Arianta International and Brown-Forman, Coty, Guerlain and Mondelez International. So this session will be available through the video on demand soon after this ends, should you wish to watch it again, or you can share it with any colleagues who have missed it. Please do share your comments on social media using the hashtag Travel Retail Sustainability Week and hashtag TRBusiness so we can share your comments. Tomorrow morning, very briefly, we're going to hear about sustainable investments from industry leaders in the Lead by Example session. And at 11:30, we'll discover the second round of our sustainability pitch sessions with Fras, Pure Essential and Moroccan Oil. At the 2 p.m. session, we'll have a very interesting discussion on packaging with a variety of contributions and perspectives on sustainable alternatives to single-use plastics in the Wrap It Up session. So we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye for now. Thanks to you all and have a great rest of the day wherever you are. Bye-bye.
Bye, Michael. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye. Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.